Welcome to Zennurgy, the interactive podcast providing resources for building a better life. I am Zennurgy. I am your conduit, your coach, and your catalyst to that better life. A conduit provides a connection, a catalyst sparks change, and a coach draws out hidden potential. So today our topic is paying dues. It's called counting the cost. You know, I remember when I was probably about 15, I used to go to church, and I remember there was a scripture about, if you're going to follow me, you got to count the cost. You got to take up your cross, and be willing to sacrifice to follow me. Well, I have left the church, but that concept is still alive and well. No matter what different arena of life, when I posted the intro to this podcast, whether it's family, whether it's job, whether it's your own health and diet, whether it's your goals, there is a cost. And sometimes people don't get to where they need to get because they're not willing to pay that cost. They think everything's supposed to be easy. And I brought somebody on to talk about it. He is a friend that I met during COVID. So I do have COVID to thank for some things. You run into all kind of different people sometimes when you online more than you used to be, and we just kind of hit it off, and we've had some really amazing conversations about everything up under the sun. And so I wanted to introduce RJ Gray. So say hi to the people.
Hello.
So we're going to talk about this topic. He's going to bring his experience. I always believe that different perspectives, yield so many different insights, and you never know what you're going to hear. So this is all conversational. It's not scripted. We're just here to talk about this topic and just give you our life experiences on this topic. And I think it's really important because one of the major criticisms that a lot of people have of the younger generation is they are so entitled. They think everything's supposed to be handed to them on a silver platter, and the older generation seems to feel like we were willing to pay our dues. We were willing to, count that cost. And so we'll talk about that a little bit. And then people talk about marriage, do marriages end because people aren't really willing to pay the cost, to stay married? Are they not willing to make the sacrifices? Are they just looking for, the good times? And when things get hard, they just bail, so this topic comes up again and again in all kind of different arenas. If you're an entrepreneur, maybe you have employees and you're like, they just don't seem to want to do any work. They seem to feel like they should start out as, the boss. And they don't even want to start out anywhere. They don't want to pay any dues. They don't want to work their way up. So I think it's a really powerful topic, especially since I created, a goal setting or a personal development package. I never want anybody to think that I'm trying to make it seem like it's easy to change. It's doable. But there is a cost, changing cost. The first cost is moving out of your comfort zone. That's the very first cost. Another cost is being true to yourself, being honest with yourself, because a lot of times we want to be in denial. So RJ, when you went on my little podcast guest forum and you saw counting the cost, what was like the first thing that came to your mind? Why were you drawn to that?
Let's see. Many reasons, but the primary reason that sticks out in my head is it was a foolish man who built his house upon the sand. And that quote always reminds me that if you don't put forth the effort first, and you don't think about what you're doing or what you're going into or what you're getting ready to try and do the research, and then be willing to do all the things it takes to get to that point, then your house is going to sink in the sand. So that it just stuck out to me that way. Plus, the whole concept of just paying dues is, me being a veteran is, it kind of speaks to everything we go through in order to become whatever it is Uncle Sam wants us to be. So.
I like that quote. I definitely think that is the perfect quote because, there are people who feel like they should be able to just put this house up, but they don't lay any foundation. And that's not, we're not just talking about literal houses. We're talking about whether it's a relationship or whether it's a business or even, you know, in your family relationships, you know, you have to have a foundation. You know, you have to have something that you've invested. You know, I remember I met this guy years ago, and we were talking, and he was really patient with me because I was actually coming out of a divorce, and I was like, why are you so patient? And he's like, I realize that I have to invest in you. I can't expect to make a withdrawal from our interaction if I have never invested anything into you, because when I invest, then I've got something to go back to and withdraw. But if I'm not willing to put any investment in, then I really shouldn't expect any withdrawals. And I had met a lot of people in my life who expected, you know, I'm cute, I'm handsome, I got money, I got status, so you just supposed to give me, you know, just because. And I was always running against that. This was the first person that I had ever met that was like, no, I feel like I have to invest in what we have, the foundation of what we have, so that you trust me enough to open up, so that you trust me enough to, you know, to want to develop something with me. And that was a really novel idea to me. I was like, wow, that is a beautiful thing. He's looking at this relationship as like a bank. And if I don't invest in it and I am continually demanding, I'm going to end up NSF. That check's going to bounce. And that person's going to be probably bouncing along with the check, you know, because they're going to be like, they're always taken. You know, so he had, in a sense, counted the cost of wanting to be close to someone. And that cost was being patient. That cost was listening. That cost was spending quality time. You know, that cost was maybe even going on a date or two, whatever. You know, he wasn't even worried about that cost because he saw it as an investment. I'm
so using that, just so you know.
How are you going to use that? You going to tell somebody you haven't invested in me so you can't expect any withdrawals?